Harris arrived home from her day job, which was secretarial at Foxvale District Council, and popped into Swan River Cottage to see her mother. Betty dutifully poured a cup of afternoon tea for them both and sat back to hear her daughter's latest news.
Greg had a heart-to-heart with me last night, Mum. And? I told him he was being silly getting involved, but, well, apparently he went into Market Langford to search out this girl's parents.
Did it do any good?
No, her father was positively hostile. Told him to go away and not come back.
Betty took another sip of her tea.
Then 'tis obvious to me he's convinced that Greg's the baby's father.
No, I don't think so. You see, according to Greg, he first met Cleo at some nightclub in town. She looks a lot older than her years, and she lied about her age. He thought she was his age. She got friendly with him and confided that she was pregnant. Since discovering this, she'd started bunking off school.
So what made her wander into ACREBURY the afternoon when she gave birth, then?
Greg says she was desperately looking for him. She knew she was close to her time and was suffering from labour pains. Now, there's a piece of the jigsaw still to be found, Mum, and I think Greg knows which piece it is.
Well, why won't her father go and see her? Is it 'cause he don't approve of her getting into it so young?
Well, on the face of it. But personally, I think it's a bit more sinister than that.
Arnold Grace is Carrie Hick's ex-husband, so one would be forgiven for asking why he was now living with her at the post office and shop. They had divorced in the mid-60s when Carrie had discovered that Arnold was mixed up in some shady deals. After having met Lionel Hicks, an accountant, they met, but it ended less than 10 years later when lung cancer struck and Lionel passed away. In the 70s, Bill Barrett acquired the shop and put his sister-in-law in it as postmistress. She'd previously worked for the post office in Market Langford, so therefore knew the business. Out of the blue one day, Arnold Grace reappeared and played on Carrie's heartstrings, and she took him in, rather than let him become destitute. All hell was let loose. Betty Barrett, her sister, told her she was foolish to have him back, and the family nearly parted company over the rows that it had caused. Somehow, maybe a charmed existence, all seemed to calm, and Arnold has remained at the post office ever since, even helping out in the shop regularly. Collingbourne Tuck had popped across to the shop for an ounce of his pipe tobacco, and sat on the customer's seat for his daily natter over the counter.
See, Arnold, Fred don't believe as I got 'em in there, but I have.
Hedgehogs? Don't see many of those about these days, except squashed on the roads.
I reckon they be dying out myself. I don't want 'em disturbed because they be good for the garden snow.
So I've heard, but look, why doesn't Fred believe that you've got them in your shed?
Well, 'cause he got a load of contraband, that's why.
Contraband?
Well, logs.
How can logs be contraband?
'Cause he got 'em through shifty means, that's how.
Arnold reached for the tobacco on the shelf behind him. This sort, isn't it?
That's right, Arnold, thank you. See, old Fred used to live down there at Wood End Farm. He used to rent that place from the estate till Major Harcourt very nearly kicked him out of the tenancy. So Fred decided to get out first. But when he lived down there, that more or less backed onto Hampton Woods. Oh, he was always going in there and cutting down trees for firewood and flogging it.
And he still is.
But he don't admit it, and he's playing with fire, 'cause if Major Harcourt catches him being a magistrate and all, he'll have old Fred banged up soon as look at him. So Fred's out riding they logs in my shed.
Then that's a silly fool's lookout, isn't it? I learnt my lesson over shady deals. The trouble just isn't worth it in the end.
Mind you, old Fred seems to live a charmed existence, doesn't he? Now, how much do I owe you for this here tobacco?
There was an hour to go before lunchtime opening at the Boar's Head. John Clark was through in the bar and Ross Finley was in the kitchen preparing before the chef arrived. There was a knock at the back door and Ross answered it. A short dapper man was standing on the doorstep wearing a brown trilby. A neat handkerchief was on display in his top pocket and he wore a pricey suit. He was carrying a large suitcase.
Not today, thank you.
Ross went to close the door again, but the little man protested.
Oi, oi, me old mate, hold hard. Look, I don't care what it is you might be selling. Whether it's cleaning agents, shoe polish or what, we don't want to know, thank you very much. Hear me out, mate. Would you kindly take your foot away from the door?
Hearing the kerfuffle from the bar, John came through to find out what was going on.
Here, what's all the fuss about then, Ross? Johnny boy, it's me. Hey? It's a confounded travelling salesman, John, who won't take no for an answer. Just a minute. He ain't no travelling salesman, it's me Uncle Edwin, Dad's younger brother. Oh, I'm so sorry. I just thought the way you were dressed and everything. Yes, well, no hard feelings, Jock. Don't call me Jock. John tried to calm the situation. Anyway, what are you doing here, Uncle Edwin? Johnny boy, if I could be allowed to step inside out of the cold, I'll tell you. John allowed him to come in, then poked his nose outside to discover that it wasn't cold at all. In fact, it was quite a mild morning. If you'd like to show me to me room, I'll get rid of this clobber and over a nice little glass of refreshment, I'll tell you what I'm doing here, OK? How about you, Jock? Well, of all the confounded cheek. It's all right, Ross, I'll handle this. Look, Uncle Edwin, we don't have a room that you can perch yourself in because you ain't staying. Do you understand? Oh, that's heart wounding, that is heart wounding. Me own kith and kin, and he won't give me a pillow for me weary head after the train journey down from the capital. You didn't tell anybody you was coming, did you? All right, there is a room you can have. I'll help you with your case. Edwin smiled broadly, but Ross Finney frowned. John struggled up the stairs with his uncle's suitcase, which felt heavy enough to be holding the crown jewels. Halfway up, and John had a horrifying thought. What if it was the crown jewels? Despite everyone's advice, Gwen Embling took the bus into Cartampton. One objective was paramount in her mind. She stood in front of the large modern building that is Prince Andrew's Hospital. She hesitated for a moment, then looked at the large bunch of flowers which were tucked under her right arm. She found Ferringham Ward and looked around her to see if a young girl was laying in one of the beds. There was no one who fitted Cleo's description at all. A male nurse walked past.
Excuse me, do you have a young 15-year-old girl in this ward? Not long had a baby boy?
Are you a relative?
No, a friend. Well, more an acquaintance, actually.
Cleo Petty was discharged yesterday.
Oh, I see.
Gwen was disappointed. She handed the bunch of flowers to the nurse.
Perhaps you'd like to put these on the ward to cheer it up a bit for the ladies in here.
Oh, thank you, madam. That's very kind. I'll put them in some water. He smiled at Gwen, then turned to walk away.
There's no way of finding out where she might be, is there?
The nurse shook his head. I'm sorry, madam. Well, if I were you, I'd try her home.